Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the False Nine Podcast. My name's Stephen. I'm with Connor, Charlie, and Luke once again. We're going to take a look back from all the games from last weekend. Starting with, of course, the first game of the weekend, I think, which was Everton United. United obviously coming with 3-1 winners. Ollie looking like he saved his job. I think everyone was expecting Everton to do something and bounce back from the losses, but now with a 3-1 win, I want to go to Luke and say, Ollie back at the wheel, is it?
I wouldn't go that far. I mean, it was a decent win against a side that's been doing pretty well this season, but we've seen it all before. We were in bad form, then we win a game, then we go on a run, but we're going to have to develop some more consistency than that.
Yeah. So I thought Everton, I'm not surprised. Look who they have in net. They have a T-Rex in net. You're not going to win anything with T-Rex in net. Charlie, I saw on a lot of the time, I know Bruno didn't play well midweek, but he's obviously answered his critics. I thought he was very good at the weekend. Why was Bruno getting that criticism, and has he just shown United fans, look, without me, you'd be nowhere near where you are today, or you wouldn't have came third in the end, Charlie?
Yeah, obviously, the last podcast I was critical of him. I said he lost the ball 33 times or something, and I think that was warranted because, when someone has a bad game, you have to point it out. You can't just give him a free ride, even if he is our most important player at the moment. I thought, obviously, on Saturday he was world class. I think Rashford and Martial were both poor for their standards. So the fact that we now have someone else we can rely on in Bruno is a positive. And at the end of the day, even if Rashford and Martial both did play poorly, they were both involved in both the goals. So it shows we're relying heavily on still individuals, and we need to sort of put together a system where we can get the best out of all those players.
Yeah, I was really impressed with Bruno. I thought when you went 1-0 down, I was like, here we go. What is it with Ollie and just when you think he's going to get sacked, he managed to pull someone in the bag? Is that something that we should look at? Is that just him just getting lucky at this point?
I'm not really sure what you can put it down to, really. It seems like our players are more motivated for the more important games, and then when it comes to what you would call the easier games, like the likes of West Brom, who we're playing next, and the likes of Palace and Brighton, we just seem to be really sloppy. But usually when we need a win, or when we're the underdogs, really, we seem to pull something out of the bag. So it's a strange one. I don't know whether it's mentality or something, but it certainly needs to be fit.
Yeah, I think it's funny because, I think as Royal fans, I don't know if you were on Twitter, we were all happy that United obviously got the win, so Ollie can stay in his job. When does it come to a point where it's just right, you've had your chance, this enough, we're not going to keep cutting, you know what I mean? We're not going to allow this anymore, even if you're getting these kind of big, so-called big wins, or wins when he really needed them. When does it come to a point where it's just Poch time, it's time for Poch?
I think realistically, it shouldn't really matter who the wins are against. If we're winning games and then losing more games as well, it doesn't matter if we beat PSG if we lose to the likes of Crystal Palace. They basically balance each other out. So there's two world-class managers arguably available at the moment in Poch and Allegri. And if these poor runs of form continue, then I'd say it is time to get one of them in. But if you look at our next few fixtures, there's definitely winnable games in there. I know we have West Brom, Southampton. I can't remember who the other three are against, but they're all winnable games, and we should be looking on going on a winning run. And if we don't, then maybe it should be time to look at replacements, because we need to start moving up the table and actually making some progression.
But aren't they the games that you call winnable, and then you always manage to drop points? Like it always seems to be those games. West Brom you'll beat because they are probably the worst team. Derby County I remember watching Derby County when I was younger. They were bad. I'm trying to think of other teams. They're not far off one of the worst teams I've seen in the Premier League. They are awful to watch. They are a horrible football team, right? Like they've Callum Robinson starting. I'm pretty sure. Like he is woeful of football. But
3 or 7, mate.
so, fuck's sake. So, are you kind of? Would you prefer a bigger game coming up? Like, would you prefer maybe not Liverpool, but a Tottenham? No, not Tottenham. Sorry, trying to think who you haven't played, like a City, for example, or Liverpool actually, because you haven't played them. Like, would you prefer that because you know the players will show up, or are you kind of happy you've got an easier run of games?
I think you couldn't really pick an easier game than West Brom at home, if we're being honest. Like this should be an easy win. Now we've said this in the past and we've dropped points, but I'm fairly confident now we're gonna get the 3 points against West Brom, surely. Like as you said, along with the Fulham, they're pretty dreadful. I know they were quite solid against Tottenham, but like they were at home then. Like our players should be, some of them should be well recovered after an international break, so I'm expecting a win.
Yeah, I think Luke. I was just going to ask you what was it again? For example, if Ollie was to get sacked, right? Let's say next 5 games he loses. Let's say you beat West Brom, you lose to Hampton, and you lose another game. Let's just say that hypothetically. Would you Poch or Allegri if they are the two choices, which I think they are, because I don't think someone like Nagelsmann will lead now. For you, Poch or Allegri?
I don't even think Allegri's an option, to be honest. I mean, I don't want another defensive manager. We tried that style in the past. I'd rather try something new with Poch and actually get a pressing system going, see how that works. I think many United fans want to see Allegri brought in just to unlock Pogba, which is disgraceful. I mean, like, how much time does he need to unlock himself? Multiple players, multiple managers. And we've now narrowed it down to the fact that it's only Allegri who can get the best out of him. Like, it's just complete rubbish. The club doesn't revolve around one player. So if you're asking to get Allegri in just for the fact that he can fit Pogba in the team, then you're a bit delusional.
Yeah, it's fine.
But I think if you look at it as well, like Poch has had plenty of experience in the league as well. Like obviously Southampton first, and then he did well there, and then at Tottenham, like he did really well there. Got them to a Champions League final if you think about it. High finishes in the Premier League. And I think if you look at like Allegri, like he sort of it's like it's much easier to sort of be at Juventus and like win leagues there. Like it's not that much of an achievement compared to getting high finishes in the Premier League. And Luke made an interesting point there about the pressing thing, because at the moment United, they don't seem to have that energy at all. About the team is it's just relying on Bruno, getting the ball to Bruno and letting him create something. So if I reckon Poch can make them into like a sort of more of a unit instead of just an individual team.
Yeah, I think Poch would be a better fit, to be honest with you. I think I was actually going to move on to the Pogba situation. I want to see everyone's thoughts on this. My problem with Pogba is like, look, the price, we're going to forget, don't talk about the price tag because it was 4 or 5 years ago. But I think Pogba was expected to be a player that was going to maybe not dominate the league, but he was meant to be one of the best midfielders, one of the best players, full stop, in the league. That hasn't materialised, obviously. People go on about how he's world class, he's one of the best. In terms of talent, I think you could argue he's one of the best midfielders. Like, in terms of pure talent, he's one of the best midfielders in recent memory. But if you look at the likes of, for example, Gerrard playing the Shocker team, he didn't need a manager to unlock himself. Lampard didn't need a manager to unlock himself. All these players that he would like to be compared to didn't need a manager to unlock himself. He is a player that has proved time and time again that he needs, number one, he needs world-class talent around him to flourish, which a lot of players do. Sure, Messi wouldn't be the same without Iniesta and Xavi, like when he was younger. But he needed a Kante and Matuidi. He needs a Kante behind him. He needs I can't think of another midfielder who's good enough. He probably need like a Fabinho or something, who is a world class player in his position, who will be able to unlock him or let him do what he needs to do. Also, like, one of the main attributes of a world class player or of a great player is consistency. It's season, game in, game out, week in, week out, putting performances, and that's not happening. For United fans, first, I'm going to come on to you, Connor, now. But for United fans, what would you put down as the main reason why it hasn't particularly worked out for Paul Pogba at United? Because it's, what, is this his fifth season? Yeah, it is. It would be a fifth season now. So, this for you, Charlie, what do you think is the main problem, or what do you think is stopping him from dominating the league or being let live?
You can put it down to systems and managers all you want, but I'm putting it at the feet of the player. I don't think he's developed the way people thought he would. Obviously, at Juventus, he was a sensation. He got in the team of the year, but I mean, he hasn't done that since. And yeah, people will bring up that stat from, I think, 2018 or something, where he has the most goals, most assists, most chances created. That's just rubbish, because that was probably the worst squad we've ever had. He took multiple penalties. Chances created. He's pretty much the only creative player in the team. Like, who was he competing against? The likes of Fred and McTominay, who played some of Ander Herrera. Like, most of these players don't have a creative bone in their body, and I think some of the blame has to go to the fans, because some of our fans, they seem to support players rather than the team. Like, there's this Pogba FC. They'd rather see Pogba do well than actually the team. Even Martial FC would rather see Martial bag 30 goals than us actually win a trophy.
True.
And it's ridiculous. Like, you have to support your team. Now, obviously, I'm a fan of Martial, but like, if you ask me, get rid of Martial for us to win the league, I'd obviously do it, because that's what supporting your club is. And I think our fan base is so divided. Like, you see Greenwood, fans of Greenwood are now attacking fans of Martial, saying, "Oh, Greenwood should be the starting striker." Cavani FC is coming in, "Oh, Martial should be binned off, he's lazy." And it's just, the fan base is split, and it's just leading to agendas against certain players, and it's not helping the team. And the fans, they need to fix up, really. They just need to support the team properly rather than just supporting individuals.
If in defense of them, I don't think it's the right thing to do at all, because at the end of the day, players come and go, but you'll always be there as a fan, so you're going to support your team. It's not the NBA where I'm like, I'm going to follow where LeBron goes. Like, I'm going to follow where whoever Paul Pogba goes. You know what I mean? It's not like that. I've seen with Liverpool as well. I've seen fans purposely attacking Wijnaldum because they want Keita in the team. I was like, we play 60 games a season. However, you support everyone, because different players are going to get different chances. They're going to play certain games. I don't understand why it has to be one up against the other. And the same with like Firmino v Jota. I remember Jota didn't have a good game. Firmino didn't have a good game either against City. Firmino gets slandered. I'm not saying slander Jota, but like, give him the same kind of treatment. If like, they both had terrible.
Yeah, that's the problem. They don't. Certain players aren't given the same treatment as others. I mean, if you look at United, Rashford was very poor on the weekend. I hear nothing about it. Martial is apparently now the worst striker in the league, and Cavani should start ahead of him. Yeah. And even with City,
Cavani is 90 years old. Yeah, Cavani is 90.
De Bruyne missed a penalty on the weekend for City. Yeah. And a day later, it's forgotten about. Nothing's being said because his name is Kevin De Bruyne. And that has to change. The media witch hunt on certain players is ridiculous.
You know, Greenwood. Like, they won't leave Greenwood alone, the poor chap. I think that's a topic for a different day. But Luke, I don't know what you think about the situation. One of the things I want to go back on is, actually, I'll talk about when Liverpool come around. But Luke, is going back to Pogba, right? And do you think he's at the moment he's in your best team? Because he's came out and Deschamps, he's obviously said, Deschamps, I'm not happy, United, like, being on the bench. Do you think he should be in your best team, or do you think, look, this just didn't work out at all?
I don't think at the moment he should be in our best team. Now, we're talking about supporting the club. So if you look at it,
Yeah,
we're getting better results with him out of the team. So he stays out of the team. You don't just come back in because you're Paul Pogba.
yeah.
One thing I would say is his press resistance has become awful. He's now
Shocking.
giving the ball away in stupid positions.
Yeah.
He's throwing 50-yard passes instead of just, he's at his best when he keeps it simple, and he just doesn't seem to want to do it. He wants to showboat all the time. And one thing as well, you look at De Bruyne, he's getting 20 assists in the Premier League every season. That's what you call consistency. And then you have absolute idiots on Twitter saying, oh yeah, Pogba's the best midfielder in the world with their chest because he fucking got an assist and a goal in the World Cup final. Like, fair play, but like that doesn't make him the best midfielder in the world.
Yeah. No, it always seems to hype up when like someone released the Pogba conference, like, oh, we're back, Pogba FC. Like, shut up. Connor, this is an outside view of United. Like, what do you think? What's your overall thoughts on the Pogba situation? Do you think it's resolved, or do you just think, look, it's done? They need to part ways.
Yeah, like I think there's a few things going wrong with Pogba. Obviously, he's not fitting in at the system. He's not really fitting in with the manager. His attitude isn't right. He's created the sort of divide in the fan base as well. So it's kind of it's almost like he's past the point of no return at this stage, really, unless there's like a load of changes. And I think it was Luke was saying there about the results with him out of the team being a lot better. So like at the end of the day, he's a football player. Like, it doesn't matter how good he has the potential to be or how good he's been in the past. Like, if he's not good enough to be in the team now, like, he shouldn't just be getting into the team because of his name.
Yeah, he shouldn't be shoehorned in the team. Like, I've seen him play left wing.
And there's an interesting point talking about him showboating the whole time, and like not necessarily that, but like I was watching him recently in the last couple of months, and the amount of times we were saying like he gives the ball away all the time now, and he's like, you saw me used to be really good in the 1v1 situations where he'd like be able to dribble past people, he'd be just playing simple passes in midfield, linking up play well, but now he seems to just want to play that sort of like 50-yard diagonal ball to someone, and like it just doesn't come off, and he might lose it. Then 5 minutes later his head drops and then he has a bad game, and it's a cycle. Like I don't think it's going to end unless there's changes at United, which I don't think there will be changes. So like if I was there, like I'd actually want him gone out of the club, to be honest. Move on from him.
Yeah, I think it's fair. We also must mention, like, we probably all would agree that he does get a bad rap in the media and at times unfair, and he is. I think at times he is targeted because if something goes United, Pogba seems to always be the first names popping up, but he doesn't help himself at all. Like, I know he didn't say, I know it was taken out of context when he said about wanting to move to Madrid, but like, you just don't say that. Like, if anyone asks you, like, you just go, look, I have a lot of respect for him, but at the moment, or you just say full stop, I'm perfectly happy at the club. Even if you're not happy, you don't come out because like you're not going to get on the fans' good side. Look, I think we didn't really touch enough on Everton. Let's just all admit that they're a very bad team and they're small. Yeah, all good. Small club, good.
Can I just make one more point on that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Now, Pogba's obviously in the French squad and Deschamps is obviously going to play him. Now, the problem is France are playing Finland today. So Paul Pogba is going to look great against Finnish farmers, really. I mean, what are they? Part-time electricians he's probably playing against.
Yeah.
And he's going to look like the best thing since sliced bread, and he's going to come back to United and everyone's going to want to play it again. And the same with Van de Beek and the same with Bruno. And whichever one of them gets left out of the team, there's going to be backlash and everyone's going to say, oh, that's Ollie's fault. How are you supposed, if you're Ollie, how are you supposed to put Van de Beek, Bruno and Pogba in the same team? You're never going to do it unless Van de Beek is playing off the right, and even still, you won't get Pogba in with him. It's ridiculous. And whatever team Ollie seems to pick at the moment, he seems to have gotten it wrong according to our fan base. We need to accept that we can't get all three of those players into the team. We're probably only going to get one of them in. At the moment, Bruno Fernandes is the best player at the club, so it's going to be Bruno.
Yeah, definitely. I think, look, again, international break, once again, like last time's question about United, we'll have to see after. and see how everything unfolds. Moving on to their former manager, he's back. Mourinho, 1-0 against West Brom. Perfect Mourinho performance. Harry Kane at the end. I think the main question from this, Gary Neville came in and said he doesn't think Tottenham can win the title anyway. But does anyone here genuinely think they can? Can Mourinho lead Tottenham to the league title?
I think he can. I don't think he will though. Like it depends on how City and Liverpool cope. But you've seen so far, like the amount of points being dropped, and the way it's going this season, I don't think that the winners of the Premier League are going to get 90 plus points this season. I don't see it happening. But yeah, you saw like again Mourinho, like the amount of times he's done that, even in the Europa League. I know like it's only the Europa League and like the qualifiers and stuff like that, but he always he sticks to his goal, sticks to the game plan, and he gets results in the end. And obviously Son and Kane, the two of them, probably the best attacking like two attackers in the league at the moment, is in like their combined goals and assists for each other. And if they keep firing, and obviously Gareth Bale is in the team at the moment. He's not really playing particularly well, but like he's only going to get better as the season goes on. So yeah, as I said, I think it's down to Liverpool and City how they do, but like yeah, Tottenham could go a long way this season.
Yeah, I think keeping Kane fit is obviously the main one. I think if they can't keep him fit, it will be very tough for them. I think people going about, if City lose Laporte, let's say, if Liverpool lose Van Dijk, I think the worst possible case for any team is Tottenham losing Kane, because there goes all their goals. And we know Son can be up and down. But it'd be interesting to see Mourinho can do. I think it's important for him to win a trophy anyway. Yeah, look, I know Charlie has obviously mentioned West Brom, terrible team. Honestly, do you see them staying up at all, Luke?
I think that Fulham and West Ham are, like, if you were putting a bet on, you didn't have those two to go down, then there's something wrong with you. I think they're just definitely, both of them are going to get relegated.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I think for Tottenham, obviously that's a important win. Like, we know Tottenham before probably.
Sorry, I meant West Brom, not West Ham, by the way.
Oh, I didn't realise, actually, sorry. Yeah, so West Brom, I think they're obviously going to get down. I think Tottenham, it's important that we kind of remember that it's Tottenham, and they usually do love bottling things. I think that's really it. It was not a very eventful game. Tottenham keep going. They're up there. We'll see how they get on after the international break and going forward. Moving on to probably one of I think the most biggest shock of the weekend was Villa dismantling Arsenal. I'd say we all kind of half enjoyed that. How is my question, Connor? How did Villa pull this off?
I think it was a sort of the same. I thought the Liverpool game was a fluke, which I still believe it was.
Yeah.
But I think Grealish loves going up against the best teams in the league. Arsenal are obviously, they're one of the best teams in the league anymore. But like traditionally, the big club going to the Emirates, obviously, Grealish will love that sort of stuff. And you saw it was less than a minute in, they scored their first goal, and I know it got chalked out for offside for interfering with the keeper's line of vision or something, which was a joke. It should have stood. But like, I mean, Villa were just all over them. It was similar to the Liverpool performance. They got that goal, they got confidence, and Arsenal just panicked, which helped Villa even more. I think Grealish is one of the best players in the league. He's fantastic to watch, really creative. And your man, Ollie Watkins, he's getting a good
very good
now.
Yeah,
hat-trick against Liverpool as well.
Yeah. Did you have to remind me? But
he's really quick. He gets in behind. Like he's sort of quite a complete striker, really.
Yeah, I rate him heavy. Like, I think the thing with Villa is that I'm finding incredible. I think, look, people are talking about Grealish going up level. Barkley's looking very good. I think he's kind of looking like he's about to reinvigorate his career. I don't know
Yeah.
what, Charlie, you think of Barkley. I don't know what you thought of him before. Do you think this could be the start of him maybe coming back into that Chelsea setup? Because I think he's on loan, right? Yeah, he's on loan. Do you think this could be the start of him coming back into that setup and maybe establishing himself?
I think obviously he's been playing really well. Like him and Grealish basically made a show of Arsenal, if we're being honest. I think it was quite surprising when Chelsea loaned out Loftus-Cheek and Barkley. Like I'm not sure Mount is clear either of them, to be honest.
Yeah.
But obviously Barkley, he's been really good in every game I've watched him, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's back in the England setup soon, because he's looking like a top quality player, like at Villa. His link up with Grealish is unbelievable at times. Like they just seem to be on the same wavelength, and I'm not sure if it's because he's playing with Villa and he has more time and space, but he definitely looks like a different player to the one he was at Chelsea.
Yeah, like that loan could have I think it was the right loan, but I think that loan could have easily gone pear-shaped because he wasn't really. I don't think he was bad at Chelsea his last couple of years. I don't think they were bad per se. Remember, he made a show of us last season in the cup, but I think he kind of needed that move away. He probably wasn't going to get in the midfield this year, and he's shown Lampard, look, I'm still here. I'm still in with a share. Like I'm definitely ahead of players like Loftus-Cheek. He's gone on loan. So yeah, I think that's an interesting one to look at. One of the ones that the main kind of headline that's associated with Villa is just Grealish. He is playing like a world-class player in a team. Like he's performing at a world-class level in a team that should have got relegated last season. Like, and I think one of the best signs of the week in the summer, I know Villa had a good window. They signed Bertrand Traore, who I haven't seen a lot of, which is crazy to think about. Grealish signed that 5-year deal. Like, if someone wants him, they're going to have to pay upwards of 100 million, in my opinion, because of the English tax. Luke, have you noticed anything different in Grealish's game that's just made him go up that level and put together some consistency?
I think the main reason he's looking even better than last season is Villa have actually added some real quality to their attack, and now he has better players to work with who can give him the ball and he can link with. So I think just Villa in general, I think their attack is now like one of the best outside the top six if you look at it. And I think they've seemed to have sorted their defence out. And their midfield was always quite good with Douglas, Luiz and McGinn. So if they can keep the consistency at the back, they can probably finish top half this season at least.
Yeah, I think they should be really looking at top half. Maybe like they've got goals. I think one of the players that hasn't got a lot of plaudits is their centre back. What's his name? It's gone on my head. His name.
Konsa.
Yeah, sorry, Konsa. Completely gone on my head there, but he's looked so solid because they like Mings was getting a lot of plaudits last season. I know he had a few good games, but I didn't think he was actually that good. And Konsa's coming alongside him and just been absolutely brilliant. And they're performing well. At the back, obviously, Southampton game was an exception. So Villa, are we kind of saying that Villa can get top half, or are we expecting them to fall off? But what's everyone saying? I think they could get top half. Colin, I don't know what you think, but
I think if I was a Villa fan at the moment, like I'd definitely be looking at top half, and if not, like I'd seriously be looking at sort of second Europa League place. To be honest, like that would be like where they should be aiming. I mean, if you look at the other teams, how they're sort of getting on this season, like you'd think if Arsenal should be sort of around where Aston Villa would be aiming for, and Aston Villa have just gone out and beaten them there. So like I don't see any reason why Villa can't be sort of finishing like definitely top half. But I think they should be aiming for Europa League, try and get European football.
Why not? In this league, the way it's going this year, why not? Move on to Arsenal. Honestly, it's like I've seen Arsenal fans obviously blaming certain players and stuff. Harty coming off halftime due to injury didn't help, but is this for Charlie? Is this just a sign of Arteta is still learning as a coach, or is there a deeper problem?
I think part of the problem is actually their system,
Yeah,
because it's so one-dimensional. And at the end of the day, the three you have up top have to have quality. And I think Willian and Lacazette were disgraceful in that match. That, like, if I was an Arsenal match, I would be fuming with their two performances. They were both absolutely shocking. Willian should not be starting games. He's finished. Let's be honest. Chelsea didn't want to give him a contract for a reason. He should be probably at a mid-table club, for being honest, or over in the MLS, because he like the lack of quality he's shown. He gave the ball away so poorly for the first goal. He tried a few switches of play, they didn't work. And when you have Nicolas Pepe sitting on the bench, 72 million quid, you have to wonder why he hasn't been given the game time over Willian. And Lacazette, I think his career has taken a turn for the worse, really, since he went to Arsenal. He's become sort of just like a hold-up player rather than the goal scorer he was at Lyon. So, I mean, his hold-up play was poor. All he seems to want to do is back into defenders. He never actually tried to create space for a shot. And when he does actually shoot, it's usually nowhere near the goal. So I think, again, we're talking about their attacking quality. They're lacking at the front end of the pitch, even with Aubameyang. Like, I saw Aubameyang's expected goal this season is 0.5, which is lower than nearly every attacker in the league, apparently. So,
yeah.
I mean, that's a serious problem. I know he scored against United, but it was a penalty at the end of the day, and they probably weren't going to score from that attack. It was just silly from Pogba. So I think creativity is still a real issue for Arsenal.
I think that you came out. I'm not a huge fan of expected goals. I think it can be misleading, but if we are going by it, I think it's projected expected goals by the end of the season is 2.5. 2.5 goals. Like, and it's the lack of creativity that is just so evident. Like, they just seem to it's always down the left hand side. Try to get Aubameyang in behind. The lack of creativity is huge. Hugely evident in their system. Obviously, they are sacrificing on the other end of the pitch by playing five at the back because of their poor defenders, which I understand. But surely Ozil could do a better job than Willian. Like, and again, we'll come back to the other situation. We came back last international break and the weeks before. Like, you can't, like, if people think that Ozil's being left out for footballing reasons, obviously I don't know what to say with you, because Arteta is not stupid. He knows exactly why he's being left out. But I think obviously it's no turning back now with that. So they're going to have to find someone in the window to look at, definitely. I understand Arsenal fans say Pepe should play. Sometimes when I watch him play, it's just like, Jesus, like you got robbed. Let's be real. He's left isolated at times. They're very left down the left, but look, Arteta has the work to do, and he needs to sort out quick. Like, there's no two ways about it. Kind of for last couple of things in Arsenal, like, why do you think he's sticking with the likes of Lacazette and Willian? What do you not see in, let me think, Pepe? What do you not see in Reece Nelson? Like, why is Reece Nelson not getting a better look?
I think he's Arteta. First of all, when he came into Arsenal and he was talking to Willian, over the summer there, and he was saying we want to win the league. I think Arteta is just really unrealistic about a lot of things, and what he seems to be doing at the moment is he has his system in place and he's confident that it's going to work, and he's not open to change about it. He doesn't seem willing to give anyone else a chance, if you get me. And like Nicola Pepe, I've seen him, like, he is a quality player when he shows up. And at the moment, if he's just sitting on the bench, the motivation he has probably in training to get out there and try and get into that team, like, I don't see why you wouldn't give him a chance. It's not like Willian is having like a really good season. He's unplayable. Reece Nelson, obviously a young player, like you'd think things aren't working at the moment. Like, just switch it up, try something new.
Try it, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's bizarre, like, to just stick with the same thing. And like Villa literally knew the game plan to try and get Aubameyang and go down the left hand side. Like, they literally knew that, and they targeted that. They cut off the service to him completely, and then Arsenal were just panicking because they didn't know what to do.
Look, yeah, I if I was Arteta, sorry to cut across you, if I was Arteta, obviously there's nothing you can do now. But think about it, like Martinelli's coming back. Why wouldn't he not just play this 5 at the back and then play instead of 3 up front, play 1-2? So Ozil in behind Aubameyang and Martinelli. You'll have 2 goal scorers in the team. You'll have a creative influence. You'll have the width with the wing backs. I don't know what I'm going on about because he's not in the squad and it doesn't matter anymore. But like you're persisting with players like Willian, who is washed. Lacazette is a horrible footballer. Surely, Luke. Surely, like Reece Nelson. Surely Pepe could do a better job. Martinelli, when he comes back, he probably will get into the team. Do you think Aubameyang should play down the middle though? Like, with all things considered, do you think just shift him to the middle and just try to get him as much goals as possible?
Yeah, I think when Martinelli comes back, he should play Martinelli off the left and then Aubameyang through the centre. So just for the purpose of getting Aubameyang more involved. But one thing I would say as well is about Arteta. Pepe played against Dundalk and he scored. Like, I know it's Dundalk, but football is about confidence. And if he could put a run of form together off the back of that, we'll never know now because he was just benched the game after. And then you have people like Willian and Lacazette getting no goal contributions, but still starting the next week. Like, it doesn't make much sense to me. Also, when Martinelli was actually available for Arteta, he didn't seem to pick him much either. So it'll be interesting to see what he does when he actually gets back.
Yeah, there's so many problems there. It's up to Arteta to answer these questions. Like he needs to do it, or they're going to be in big trouble. Look, all credit to Villa, of course. They were absolutely outstanding. They've won to watch this season. Moving on to Chelsea, we go across London. 4-1. Of course, they're not playing the greatest opposition, but they're scoring goals. Has Lampard worked it out, Connor?
I don't. It's Lampard's a difficult one. Like 1 week, Chelsea will turn up, they'll score goals, they'll be good defensively, and then the next week they'll be a completely different team. Now, like Sheffield United, we've seen this season that they've been very poor. And as soon as I'm
Anyways, sorry, we had some technical difficulties. We're back recording now. Connor, I think we were talking about Chelsea. Do you want to continue on?
Yeah, I'm not quite sure where I cut off, but basically we were sort of just saying Chelsea are a different team each week, really. Like 1 week they go out, score loads of goals. They might be good, they might be bad at the back. They are kind of good to watch. Like I enjoy watching Chelsea, but they can just be so poor sometimes. Sheffield United, obviously, at the moment this season so far, they look in serious relegation trouble, if I'm being honest. Chelsea, yeah, I really don't know what to make them, to be honest. Like I think that they do have the ability to do well, and you do see improvement in them every so often, but then they sort of seem to, it's almost like 1 step forward, 2 steps back.
Yeah, but it's hard to judge because the competition, the teams they're playing. But I think it is a good sign that Lampard, he's looked like he's got a settled back four in some extent. Thiago Silva is looking like he's a real leader in that squad. And I think they're really looking like a team that can move on and have established a platform where they can improve. Obviously, we have to wait and see if when they play a bigger team and a more difficult team, but definitely a good start. I think Werner's in among the goals. Ziyech, I know, Charlie, this is for you. How impressed have you been about Ziyech?
I think he's I think he's a world-class player, to be honest. Like, you could see for Ajax he was a quality player, and I mean, I called right from the start, Chelsea's best signing is going to be Ziyech, because he's a creator, but he never seems to get it wrong, if you know what I mean. Like, if he's playing a pass, most of the time it comes off, and obviously he's got a great long shot as well. So I think he could be one of the players of the season for me. I think he's just a top quality player.
Yeah, Ziyech. I think people like we were constantly waiting for him to get a game time. Obviously, he was injured at the start, and now he's in the team. He's looking good. Luke, have you seen any improvements in Werner's game? Do you think he's showing what he's made of, and do you think he's worthy of that price tag?
I mean, the price tag was pretty cheap if we're looking at the amount of goals he scored last season. But I'm looking at him. He's scoring goals, yes, mostly penalties, but they all count, I suppose. But like, it just seems to be at the end of games when the game's already won, he's using his pace to get him behind defenses. Like, I just look at him, and when he's running at defenders, he doesn't seem to have that like skill in his locker to get past them and get a shot away. It's more like he needs the space in front of him. He's not been performing very well in the games, but he's still getting goals. So that's the sign of a good player, I suppose. But I think there's a reason he's been shipped out to left wing and Abraham's playing through the centre. He's just not that good, like, facing the other way. But when the ball's out in front of him, then not many people can live with him with his pace.
Look, I agree. I think he's scoring goals, but he has competition in Tammy Abraham, Connor. Who's also getting most of the goals. He's also starting a few games. Have you been impressed at how he's responded to all these big high-profile attacking signings coming in?
Yeah, absolutely. I felt a bit sorry for him at the start. So I mean, he got a good few goals last season. In fairness to him, considering he was fairly new to the Premier League, if you like, especially like playing for a big team as well, like Chelsea, and he sort of all these sort of big names came into the club, and Abraham was kind of just dropped and left to the side, didn't really get a chance. But I mean, you can see like he's quite upset. I think there are lots of stories in the media about sort of Frank Lampard sort of saying he's not good enough and things like this. Now I don't know how true they are, but he definitely seems to have bounced back. And recently I think he's been playing very well, and he's been amongst the goals as well. So yeah, it's good signs for him.
Yeah, definitely. Look, we'll have to wait and see about Chelsea. I'm still kind of reluctant to call them challengers or actually rate them until they actually play a team that's not Sheffield United, who are not the greatest team. I'd say. Do we think Sheffield United could, after a great season last year, Charlie, do you think they could go down?
I actually called at the start that I think they might go down because last season, I'm not saying it was a fluke, but after lockdown, they were pretty atrocious. Now, I feel sorry for them in a way because their home ground, Bramall Lane, it was one of the most feared places to go just because of the atmosphere and their fans. Like, if someone was heading to Sheffield United away, you'd always fancy Sheffield to get something out of the game. I know Liverpool only won from a Jamie Wijnaldum goal there last season. So I think they're really missing.
Still a win in the end, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And it was actually United
still won the
made
league.
the mistake.
Still won the.
Yeah, but they're definitely missing the fans. Sheffield.
Yeah,
they give them that boost and like maybe an increase in energy just at the end to get over the line and get some points. So I mean, I think there is teams in the league, but I wouldn't be surprised if Sheffield continue their poor form.
Yeah. I think it's only fair to move on to the last game, the big game, the weekend Sunday. We started off with fireworks, and then it ended out in a I would describe it as a tired draw. Both teams didn't look like they wanted to win. I think Liverpool were comfortable in sitting back and taking the draw. I was impressed with a few performances. I thought Henson went out and played well in midfield. I thought at the back we were solid. I thought Mane was just as good as ever. Firmino and Jota. The 4-2-3 one was interesting because I think we looked good in transition. I think we pressed Rodri well at times. I would prefer if we got around him more and actually, pressured him more, because I know he can crack under that sort of pressure, and he did it once or twice when we did turn up the ball, hide the pitch. But I was still disappointed with Firmino and Jota. Look, I'd just like to say, look, we've just heard that there's another huge injury in England training. Joe Gomez. We just when we had technical difficulties, we heard that news. We're fucked in essence. To be honest with you, we have Fabinho, who is he's a very good centre back if he has to play there, and then we've Matip, who a gust of wind and he's out for 6 weeks. So I'm very worried now because I thought Gomez was playing well. I thought he played well against City. Conor, I don't know what your thoughts now. I going into, I think Fabinho's back after the international break, thank God. But going into the next game against Leicester at home, no Trent as well, and with this Gomez injury, is it a bit more worrying for Liverpool now?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Gomez, I know I was quite critical of him earlier on in the season with Trent Alexander-Arnold. I didn't think they were particularly good together. But I have to say, since Van Dijk got injured, Joe Gomez has stepped up. He's been excellent at centre-back.
Yeah.
It's obviously a big blow. I think even before Gomez got injured, there's talk like we probably need to bring in a centre-back in January. I think now, like, that has to happen. We might even have to bring in 2 centre backs in January, to be honest. As you said, like, Matip is just. I think Matip's a great centre back, but he's so injury prone, and you can't have that. Fabinho, obviously, like, Fabinho gets injured as well, so then you're just left with the youth then, and obviously they just don't have the experience. They need someone alongside them.
Yeah.
But back to the City game anyway. I thought we started really well, like extremely well, and City I think were slightly surprised possibly by the start, and City were sort of quite cautious with the approach, and then it was almost like someone flicked his switch with De Bruyne, and he suddenly decided enough is enough, and he just wanted to go out and try and win the game himself for them. So it's it's a strange game, really, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a weird one. Trent got injured as well, which is just devastating at this point. It's 13 injuries in 8 weeks, effectively, for including this Gomez one today. If we win the league, by the way, I think the other teams in the league really need to have a good look at themselves, because we should be out of it. Like, why? I don't understand how we're this high up the table at this point. We should be gone out of it. We've lost Alisson, Trent now. We've lost Matip, Fabinho, Van Dijk, Gomez, all at obviously different times. I think we lost Robinson for maybe a game or two. I could be wrong. We lost Thiago, Keita, Henderson might have been out for a bit. Who else? I'm forgetting other players.
Most of the team, anyway.
Exactly, most of the team. It is disappointing, and I just want to say, like, these international breaks actually need to fuck off. Like, I'm sorry, no one cares in Ireland. Ireland's England's meant to be this huge rivalry. No one cares we're playing them. I don't care we're playing them. I'm not even going to watch it. Stop forcing these shit international games where players are playing every 3 weeks anyway. 3 days anyway. Like, you're seeing injuries all around the league. Like, everyone's getting injured. You see more players going down. I'm trying to think of players for United, for example, who have been injured. I'd say you've had a few injuries. Players are constantly going down because it's just they can't take this amount of games and the quick turnarounds. So that needs to stop. Charlie,
you saw this. Just quickly, like, you saw, like, there was no preseason effectively at all.
Yeah.
So, like, the players are already, like, their muscles are already strained quite a lot. And, like, the international breaks, especially with coronavirus going around, like, traveling, mixing with different people, like, it's just ridiculous. Like, I get if it was a sort of a competition, but, like, a lot of these are international friendlies. Like, they just don't need to be happening.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. It's just annoying now. It's kind of you kind of losing hope. You just lose kind of hope for it anymore because it's just a joke what's going on and how these players are being treated. But and Pep Guardiola said the same, and Ollie said the same as well. Ollie said we're set up to fail because you have to do a quick turnaround. They don't care. Like the people at the top, they don't care. They just want to make money off the game. They don't care about player welfare. And we'll see a huge breakdown of players come Christmas. We'll see massive amounts of injuries. You'll see more youth players playing. Like it's just not sustainable for any human to be put under this physical strain. Charlie and Luke, before we go, just your thoughts on Charlie first. Your thoughts on City? Were you disappointed? Do you think they could have gone and won the game?
I think they probably should have won the game. I know Jesus scored, but I don't think he's a clinical striker at all. I think he needs 3 to 4 chances a game to even put one away.
Yeah.
That was a really poor miss with the header. Like if you're playing striker for Man City, you got to be bagging that and winning your team the game. So I think that's definitely unfortunate for City. I think Aguero would have put that in all day. I think I was impressed with Gundogan. I think he set the tempo quite well compared to Rodri, who's kind of just a backwards and sideways merchant the entire time. I thought Gundogan switched the play well and progressed it forward. It was a strange formation from City, though. I think Sterling was playing more central. I'm not really sure why, to be honest, because he's not very effective in that position, if we're being honest. And if you have the likes of Foden and Bernardo Silva and Mahrez on the bench, I'm not sure why he's starting, what's his name, Ferran Torres as well. I haven't been impressed with that Ferran Torres lad. I haven't seen anything from him really to indicate that he's even half the player that Leroy Sané is, who the guy is meant to be replacing. So I think he is young, but he's got to be doing more when he's actually involved. And lastly, I think Laporte and Diaz were excellent again. I think that's a really, really solid partnership. Probably one of the best in the league, if we're being honest. And it's definitely going to be a lot more difficult to play through City now than it was last season.
Yeah, I think they're looking better, but I think they still, it's just something isn't really clicking for them. I don't know if Luke, you picked up on it at all, but do you just feel that it's just not the same City team that dominated the league a year or two ago?
Yeah, I don't think their counter press is anywhere near where it was. They just don't seem to be getting around the ball and winning it back as quickly. Like they seem to be winning a lot more games 1-0, 2-0, 2-1. Whereas with City, it would always be like 4-0, 4-1, 3-0. Like they were destroying teams, but now they seem to have fixed the defense, but their attack isn't really firing on all cylinders.
Yeah, I think City, looking at these injury crises to Liverpool, will be licking their lips now. I think for me now, I kept Liverpool's favourites even with the Van Dijk injury, but I think looking at it now, I think they'll be licking their lips and they're edging themselves as favourites, but they have to do the business. Look, that's all we've time for today anyway. I think we've done about an hour. Sorry about the technical difficulties, boys. I don't know what happened, but anyway, I'd like to say thanks to the lads for joining me today. I was going to say, if you're watching this and you've gone to the end, please like, subscribe, and share among your mates as well. We'll be back later in the week to do kind of a season so far and see where teams are at and have a look at the international games as well, even though no one gives a fuck about them. So thanks a million for watching, and we'll see you soon.